If you've ever been to a state park, a national park, or really any nature preserve, then you know there are often signs scattered throughout the trails urging visitors not to feed or interact with the wildlife. It's often best to let animals do their thing in peace without blasphemous human interference. Though this is true in most cases, sometimes vulnerable wild animals could use a helping hand. Well, upon spotting a family of black bears struggling to cross the road safely, a responsible New Hampshire resident pulled over and called the police for assistance. But when the state trooper Thomas Owens arrived at the scene, he soon realized he had a bigger predicament to handle than he previously thought. On the rural backcountry roads of Carroll, New Hampshire, it's not uncommon to witness critters crossing the street among the SUVs and pickup trucks. And although that's usually a no-fuss occurrence, sometimes animals lose their bearings. The town of Carroll Police Department has warned its residents, especially while driving, to beware of moose, deer, and other woodsy wildlife running through the streets. Though it's common, this particular incident is anything but. When a Carroll resident was driving along a quiet road near Breton Woods Ski Resort, a family of black bears, led by a fierce mama bear, stopped the driver in his tire tracks. Noticing that the mama bear was hesitant for some reason, he immediately called the police, hoping that wildlife experts could shed some light on a situation that didn't make a ton of sense to him. State Trooper Thomas Owens arrived to clear the road and save the day. Considering baby bears need to stick by their mother's side for approximately 1.5 years before leaving the proverbial nest, Thomas was a bit concerned that one of the 4 babies couldn't keep up. Thomas watched, noticing the runt of the litter, so to speak, seemed unsure, frightened, and paralyzed in the middle of the road. Because of how the circle of life tends to work, Thomas was worried for the cub's future. Considering the mama bear halted in the middle of the road, pacing back and forth, waiting for the weakest little one to catch up to the group, she seemed to have an inkling that this baby might not be fit enough to carry on. Sadly, mothers often have to move on in situations such as these, so as to not put the rest of the cubs at risk. According to the North American Bear Center, bear litters consisting of more than 3 are often weaker and stand less of a chance at surviving. Thomas watched the mama bear and her 4 babies dawdle on the street as he directed traffic around them. In his head, the state trooper was rooting for the feeble little one, praying that he'd catch up soon. It soon became clear that additional help was needed. It's quite the majestic experience to witness a family of wild black bears crawling around mere feet from you, an experience that begs for a photo shoot. So the mama bear may have felt threatened by the overwhelming amount of people gawking at them. Considering black bears would often rather result in flight than fight, as opposed to the aggressive grizzly bear, the crowd of mesmerized onlookers probably scared her off, leaving her unable to protect her weakest. She had to move on with her 3 strong cubs. The knight in shining armor saw that the runt was left behind and decided it was time to call for some backup. Thomas contacted Fish and Wildlife Services in order to have a professional come and transport the weak cub. Authorities soon made an interesting connection. Thankfully, the frail cub was immediately brought to safety at a rehabilitation center in Lyme. But the police realized something oddly familiar about the incident, as something almost identical happened in Carroll just 24 hours earlier. Another officer rescued a different Carroll bear cub just the day before. The town of Carroll Police Department officers pondered if perhaps these 2 bear cubs were from the same litter. Though a litter of 4 is already somewhat rare, could it have been a litter of 5? The North American Bear Center reports that mother bears usually have just 1 or 2 babies in her first litter, so having 5 was nearly unbelievable. After the police department did some investigating, it was confirmed that these 2 isolated cubs were from the same litter. This leaves her with 3 other very healthy cubs that she can now focus on and take care of, the department stated regarding the mama bear. To clarify, this mama did all she could, even managing to keep all 5 of them warm and safe in the den since January. She did well, but everyone needs a little help every now and again, even the fiercest of mama black bears. Both cubs were taken to rehab centers in hopes that, with the help of veterinarians and modern medicine, they'd eventually grow strong enough to return to the wild and become independent. Please use this as a reminder to keep bears wild and not feed them human food or from your vehicle, even if they are adorable, state police urged. also clarifying that black bears were handled by professionals and that the public should never approach wild animals. It's heartwarming to know that these fragile cubs weren't left for dead, as bleak as that sounds, and that they're now under great care. These two four-legged babies needed human assistance, which isn't a common occurrence, but it's not unheard of. Rescuing babies may not sound so scary, but imagine rescuing an adult bear. It's not often that wild animals wander into our personal space. They typically want to avoid us at all costs, but on the rare occasion that they do, they can get into some serious trouble.